So at the beginning of this talk, if you've been online the whole time, you'll know that I forgot to put my volume on when I first started talking. So I told all these stories about what had happened to me today, how I'd fallen down the stairs. I just, prior to the talk, was shutting my windows and I smelled some burning, so I went down the stairs, and my outside is like a gritted wall. And I fell against the wall and like smashed up my hand. And I was telling this whole story about, but you don't know, it could be that I just hit somebody in the face and you think I'm really blah, blah, blah. I went on and on. It must have been like 5 or 10 minutes that I was talking. And then eventually people started calling in, and then I realized there must be some problem for all these people to call in. And I realized that I hadn't put my volume on. And then once I put my volume on, I couldn't re-say what I'd said. Because it just felt fake. Like prior, I was just speaking. It wasn't an agenda. I wasn't trying to be anything. I was just speaking it out, and it was just not coming from any place. It was just coming from this moment, and it wasn't contained in a form or an identity that I was trying to project. It was just coming out. And then when I realized I couldn't repeat it because that wouldn't have been honest to me in the moment. Like I'd already said it, so that was gone for me. So therefore, I just went on and did the silent sitting. And I thought, I never explained to you guys that that's the way I do my talks. Like I always do my talks, or try to do these talks in a really fresh way. So I'm always changing the way I'm teaching and changing my explanations. And I could refine it, so I could rehearse and practice and nail teaching so people intellectually understand it and like have this whole criteria, which could happen, and maybe that'll happen for me in the future. But the way that seems to really resonate with me now, and what really touches my heart, is spontaneous speaking. So I just sit here, I don't plan anything, and then I just let it come up and come out. And it's like love. It's coming out from no boundaries. It's coming out from innocence. It's not that planning things means necessarily a boundary. I'm not saying you can't plan things, but here it just feels like it's spontaneously appearing. Like I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what's going to come out, and it's super exciting. I'm right on the edge of nothing, and I'm like, boo, 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 speaking. And I think that some people that are sensitive can feel that's what I do. And it feels like love. Like if you sink into it, it doesn't feel like I'm trying to convince you of anything or push you into a position or make you see it in a certain way. It maybe feels like it's got this boundlessness to it. Like I don't really have an agenda. I'm just speaking because of love in this moment. It's not for love in the future, like getting love from you or trying to keep something from the future. It's just right here, just pouring out of a no place of this moment. This moment is boundlessness. And this is how, to me, liberation or freedom looks on the human level. Is it's not about coming to be something, so being really kind or being really nice or never hitting someone in the face, oof, or hitting the wall. My poor wall is all offended now. It's sitting there like, she hit me. She hit me. I'm a good wall standing here. I'm always keeping her warm and dry, and then she falls down the stairs and hits me. I forgot why I did that. Was there a point? There must have been a point, but I've forgotten what it is. But basically, it's not about being a nice, kind person that acts in a certain way. Like that's an identity. That's a constriction on what you are. It's already like defining this way of being. And to me, what freedom is, and it's just this energy here and this moment that's expressing it like this, is that it comes out of nowhere. It's just coming out without any intention, without any reason or any motive. On the human level, it might seem like it has motive, like I'm sitting here in front of a computer and I'm not talking about how to wipe your bottom after you go to the toilet. I'm talking about non-duality. So on the human level, there might appear to be a motive, but it's all in the moment. It's like got no motive. Like Like if I had a motive to be a serious non-duality teacher, I certainly wouldn't have talked about wiping your bottom. That really doesn't fit with non-duality. You know, everyone's coming here and they're like, what's the nature of the universe? And then she's on about wiping the bottom. Like I'm just playing like a child, expressing what I love. And it's non-bounded. It's just coming out. And you can feel it if you're really sensitive. And what it will feel like from the other side is it will feel like freedom, because if you're sensitive to it, it's like, I'm not trying to force you into a role of being a follower or being good or being bad. Like, because I've got no roles on myself, I see you exactly the same as role-less. So whatever you are, if you appear angry or happy or sad, there's some type or form of acceptance here of whatever's appearing, like a non-boundedness. And this, to me, is the goal of this subject. The goal of this subject is not arrival. The goal of this subject is what is. What is. Trust me, if I planned this, I wouldn't be such a banana. I would only be 5% banana, but I end up being 94% banana. If there was any planning, I would be more serious and refined. This is obviously a joke. I'm being sarcastic. Sometimes maybe that's not apparent to some people who don't have sarcasm in their culture. I'm sure it's a culture thing. Just let me take a drink a second because I got excited. So that's the main purpose of this talk, actually. The main purpose is that energetic expression of boundlessness and resonating with that boundlessness. After I punch my wall in the face, I have to keep being a bit tea tree all, you know. And it's an energetic sense that you feel. Okay, so how am I going to wrap this up to talking about non-duality and freedom, which I can, believe it or not. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but I can do it because I can feel it's going to happen. So law of attraction and non-duality. So as you guys might know, I really love the law of attraction, and I see it fitting perfectly with what they would call in Eastern traditions as karma, or rebirth. And I don't think law of attraction is a personal thing. In the West, it's normally taught as a personal thing, like you change your vibration or you change your thoughts and then you can attract things. And this change happens, it's part of listening to this subject and it's part of getting to know this subject. And basically, to me, law of attraction is coming into your natural flow. So right now, I am responding out of nothing. So the Lisa character is responding within the apparent bounds of the Lisa character. Like, I'm not just suddenly speaking Japanese and I'm not suddenly speaking with a really deep voice and I'm speaking English. So I'm speaking within the bounds of the words I know, of this body-mind knowledge. But in the very moment, it's energetically just appearing. It's not coming from an identity that I'm trying to craft or to make. It's just coming out. So it's coming out in the pattern of Lisa, but it's nobody's. Like, there's no Lisa at the center of it, like holding it and saying, this is who I am, and you've all got to buy into who I am. And when people are doing that, you can energetically feel it when they're trying to force you into a role or a position or a way of being. So law of attraction to me is now, like, I'm not following or just take it off of me. Like the person that's free or the energy that's free isn't following an identity. An identity is a contraction, and in a way, an identity, an illusion, a seeking energy is a rejection of what is. So it's always like scared of life and trying to push life away, and it's holding it in a greedy way. So when you're identified, there's always this kind of like self-centeredness about things, that things are for you and you're trying to get things. But when that disappears, it's like things are coming out of this place of love, of freedom. So therefore, what you attract in the external is like love and freedom. Like what you see in the external is love and freedom and beauty. So it's like Like that's what the law of attraction is. Like you move out of the way on the seeking level, and then the life manifests in the way that you energetically feel. When you're identified in your seeking, life is also energetically manifesting the way that you feel, dependent on what you're identified with. So say if you're identified with a lot of fear, what you'll attract is fear. So say maybe you're afraid of money or something. What you'll attract is disharmony with money. You'll constantly be coming up with disharmony and money. And then the identification will amplify it as well. Like you're identified with trying to get away from fear of money and trying to get to, like you're trying to get to lots of money because you're afraid of not having money. And energetically, you're putting that disharmony out in life, and then life will keep producing that disharmony for you. And when there is no identification there, you're still going to have and manifest the way that body responds to life, but the general feeling of it is well-being and trust. So you're more aligned, you're no longer seeking and rejecting, so therefore your personality structure is more balanced. It's still going to have issues, and it's still going to come up against things, and it can always expand and improve and grow, but it's not getting so identified with all these illusory thoughts into time, and all these illusory thoughts about how much it hates money, how it's other people's fault, how other people have made this world evil because of money, and politicians suck, and everyone that's rich suck. If you've got all that story going along, you're going to just keep producing that in your life, that complexity and that difficulty. But when everything's coming out of nothing, it's coming out of a base of love. So the personality structure is wanting to vibrate with that person, that feeling of love. Like it's like I'm not sitting here, or you're not sitting there like trying to find fault with everything, because there's this natural well-being, like your essence, the I am consciousness is love. So that manifests into the personality structure. The personality structure feels more love, more trust, or more positive emotions. So it has more positive thoughts, so it attracts more positive things. It still has its issues and its conditioning that it can work on, but generally it's more balanced. When you're identified, you've got all these complex stories and all these things you're trying to deny and avoid. And when you try to deny and avoid something, you attract it to you in life. So say if you're a person that fears life being chaos or out of control, you try to deny that and control everything. What you're going to attract in your life is constant chaos. You're constantly going to be like chasing your tail, trying to sort out life and not have chaos, because you'll just see chaos everywhere. Even if you've got a perfect house, it will rain outside and then there'll be dirt outside. You'll be like, and then your partner will come in and walk in mud and you'll be like, oh! And you'll constantly be in this sense that life is chaotic. And then through life, when you don't deal with these things, you create it more and more and more. And by the time you're in your 60s and 70s, life is just constantly chaotic and overwhelming. And you actually feel and get stuck, like you can't do things and you can't control it. And so there's this very complex and difficult feeling. As you begin to let go of that sense of self and undo these things, balance the character, and there's this energetic let go of it, your natural being, your essence is love and letting go, letting go. Consciousness is constantly letting go. It holds on to nothing. And then the I am is love. So beingness, who you are, is love and watching and knowing and consciousness of this. And then the personality structure grows more and more into that. And when you're not seeking to avoid things, things become a lot more simpler, because you're like, well, that's what it is. And you're not focusing on that. You're dealing with something that's painful and then you're getting over it. When you're stuck in something being painful for like 3 days and like constantly repeating it in your head, that's all you're bringing towards you. Your inside and outside world are the same. And this isn't just what law of attraction says in the West. This is also what karma says. This is what Buddhism says. This is what Hinduism says, that the way that you think and feel is the way you see the outside world, because you see the outside world through these instruments called bodies. So if you've got a really fearful body, the whole world is fearful. If you've got a really hateful body, the whole world is hateful. If there's no identification and the body is balanced, which normally go hand in hand, that the body's more balanced, it still has unevenness, but more balanced, and there's not that seeking energy, there's not that identification with form and with something, then your natural essence is love. Like constantly there is this this groundedness, this knowing, this deep knowing. It's not even mental, it's like energetical, of emptiness and love, of not holding on to anything, of nothing being you. You're everything and you're nothing. And it's love and it's emptiness. And when there's this deep knowing and grounding in this, then the personality structure forms more to that. And the feeling is one of love and well-being. So the outside world is of love and well-being. Obviously, your personality structure is still going to deal with things. Like when I walk Khaleesi, I do not like the cows escaping from their pen and coming on the path. This is scary for me. So there's still things that you can expand to. And if I didn't have that response and I didn't feel cows were friendly, I know there would be no disharmony. They wouldn't ever chase me and there'd be no disharmony. But because I know I have a fearful reaction, I'm aware there's a chance they'll chase me, because there's the law of attraction. So then I'm like, pretend you're a tree, pretend you're an arbor, tree, I'm a tree. Or I quickly walk the other way, I'm like, I get so excited sometimes. So excited. Yes, let's make sure that the audio and everything is working. So this is how non-duality and the law of attraction work. It's the natural way of life. But non-duality, separated from law of attraction, isn't complete, and law of attraction separated from non-duality isn't complete, because law of attraction teachings say that you can do it, but that's, you will be in an endless circle of yourself if you don't realize there is no you there, and it's just programming. Like when you believe that you're somebody and that you're creating bad things and life is bad because of you, that's very difficult conditioning to undo. You've got to realize that that's not you, that that's something that's formed in this life. That's a formation appearing, and it's completely not personal. It's nothing. It's so impersonal. So this realization of who you are is absolute freedom, and then that's the place of love. And from that place of love, then it's the seeking reduces, and the personality and the chakras become more balanced, and your internal and external world begin to become one more of love and love, because you're grounded in your essence, which is love. So therefore your chakras are getting more bathed in that. Yes. Oh, your personality structure grows more and more to that. So the longer period of time that there is this deep resting in who you truly are, everything which is nothing, or love, then the personality grows more to that, and more and more and more. Like I know that over the years, like I remember at first after the awakening feeling like my internal world and external world didn't quite match up. And more, it's just, they're matching up. Yeah. And I really feel like the external world is meeting my internal reality. And that goes for a lot of things. Like when I first started doing talks, I used to get a lot of abuse from men online, like sexual harassment, stalking, like abuse about my teachings not being good enough, and it was a little bit scary and challenging. And then something happened to me, like a strength grew in me, like the masculine in me grew, and I went through this change. Like my personality was more open to it, and as this more masculine energy, this more strong energy came up in me, it just began to stop. Online, I still get it every so often, and I see it as like a free gift to remember my own safety and my own truth. Like it's a little intense exposing yourself like you do on the internet. Yeah. And so life is always giving you opportunities. You know, you think that the challenges in your life are bad things and why did they happen to you? But seen properly and seen with love, they're seen as something that can help you expand and change and grow more into, on the human level, into that love of who you are, which is the absolute. But know that law of attraction never works without deeply knowing who you are. When I work with people in one-to-one sessions, basically what a lot of I'm doing is trying to get them to see their associations with their feeling body and with their thoughts. So settling it down. I also talk about non-duality at parts in the session as well, but I concentrate more on pointing out their connections in their thought, because I feel like they can resonate with the non-duality online. They can hear it online, and it's like a resonance thing. I do talk about it in the one-to-one sessions, but I spend more time just like association. So like, say they come to the session, say they've got a problem with their father, and every time they're with their father, there's disharmony and they want to get out of that. So then I just go through it, like looking at their associations, like what is it you feel when you see your father? How is the way he speaks to you? How is the way you reply? And what was it like when you were children? What's it like with boyfriends? What do you think the father's taking from you or giving to you? Like your associations. And I truly believe that as you change your associations, the outside world will change. Like big time, big time. But again, that change has to be with non-duality, because in order to be truly free, you have to know that freedom is never getting to the end of your conditioning. That's like an endless cycle that you can endlessly grow and expand. The true freedom is right here, is that speaking comes from nowhere. Speaking is free. The seeing comes from nowhere. The feeling comes from nowhere. That everything's arising from this moment, which is love. And I say these things, and you resonate with what I say, and that's that resonance. Even if I'm talking about law of attraction or problems or something else, you're resonating with that freedom, that you aren't something bound, and that I'm not something bound. There's nothing that's bound here. And then also on the intellectual level, you're learning how to expand yourself on the human level. Because when you're stuck in seeking, or when you're going from seeking to freedom, the reason that the seeking carries on, or the identification carries on, is because you still feel that you're going to find freedom in time. So you still feel that there's something that you're going to do that's going to lead you to freedom in time. And that's why I have to keep undoing those things with you, because that's a lie. And it might be really deeply unconscious in you, like you're still looking for parental love. Like sometimes people come to non-duality teachers because they resonate with it, but because also they're looking for unconditioned love in a human, and they're like, aha, I found somebody enlightened, they're going to unconditionally love me. On the absolute level they do, but on the human level it's relative, it's conditioned for everybody. And that's like, you can go to a teacher, but maybe they prefer somebody else, prefer spending their time with someone else, so it's conditioned on the apparent human level. But on the absolute level, they love you unconditionally. I love this subject. I feel I'd like to do a Khaleesi dance now with you, but Khaleesi is not here. She is in the garden.